All right, let's talk about the HPG axis. The hypothalamic-Pituitary-Gonadal, or HPG axis, comprises, well, you guessed it, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the gonads. Which gonads? Well, for females, that would be the ovaries. But for today's discussion on the male HPG axis, we're talking testes. We start with the hypothalamus, where gonadotropin-releasing hormone, GnRH, is secreted. Which gonadotropin is released, you ask? Well, that would be luteinizing hormone, LH, and follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, from the anterior pituitary gland. Next up, the testes, where LH will trigger the Leydig cells to produce testosterone, androstenedione, DHEA, DHT, and a little bit of estrogen for good measure. Over in the seminiferous tubules, FSH has the Sertoli cells kicking out inhibins, activins, and synthesizing sperm. So we've got testosterone rolling. Now, how will we regulate it? Well, first of all, testosterone is self-regulating. I love trip over words. Testosterone is self-regulating. You see, through a negative feedback mechanism, when testosterone reaches a certain threshold, it signals GnRH to shut down production. GnRH is also regulated by negative feedback from gonadotropins. LH production gets reduced or halted, and testosterone production goes on a break. This whole machine first kicks off at the onset of puberty, when kisspeptin flips a switch and gets GnRH production reactivated. This gets the age-related increase of LH, testosterone, and pituitary volume really moving. But it's not just age that oils the gears. Exercise can stimulate testosterone production too. Acute effects of resistance training seem more connected to volume and load, with general guidelines for hypertrophy seeming to be the most effective at cranking up the volume on testosterone. Cardiorespiratory training can also raise testosterone levels, especially when high intensity is involved. We're talking interval training where short bursts of anaerobic work are interspersed with aerobic rest periods. That's workouts of 80% to 110% intensity with rest periods of 40% to 50%. When compared against continuous aerobic work at 60% to 75% intensity, interval training produces greater endocrine responses. Overtraining syndrome, otherwise known as OTS, of course, is a concern, as chronically high intensity and volume along with reduced rest can result in detrimental physiological effects. There are no specific markers for overtraining syndrome, partially because of the individual variability and the variability between training methods, but also because we rarely have baseline values for comparison. Compared to healthy active subjects, those experiencing overtraining syndrome have demonstrated significantly lower cortisol and ACTH, and compared to healthy sedentary counterparts, the overtraining subjects expressed higher cortisol and lower ACTH. This demonstrates not only a deleterious effect from training beyond functional overreach, but also a change from pre-training values, indicating an HPG axis stress response to overtraining. Hypogonadism is characterized by the reduction or failure of gonadal hormone production and action. Primary hypogonadism is due to testicular disease or dysfunction and is marked by low total testosterone and elevated luteinizing hormone. Secondary hypogonadism is caused by a central disorder of the hypothalamus or pituitary gland. Also known as acquired hypogonadism, this condition is influenced by prolactin suppressing the HPG axis and leptin suppressing GnRH release via the kisspeptin pathway. Secondary hypogonadism is marked by low total testosterone and luteinizing hormone levels that are low or at the low end of normal range. Primary hypogonadism increases the risk of azoospermia, or sperm-free ejaculate, by 25 times that of eugonadal males, and it increases the risk of reduced testicular volume by 13 times. Secondary hypogonadism increases the risk for obesity by 2 to 6 times that of eugonadal males. In summary, the male HPG axis is responsible for male sex hormones and fertility. Starting at puberty, GnRH production ramps up, resulting in an increase in HPG axis activity. Training influences HPG axis hormone responses, particularly regarding testosterone. Overtraining, however, can cause deleterious effects. And finally, hypogonadism is marked by reduction in gonadal sex hormone production and increases the risk of obesity, azoospermia, and reduced testicular volume. And that is that, folks. Thank you very much for your time. Here are the shoulders of giants that we stand upon when going over this information. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. Feel free to review all of this stuff. And as always, please stay safe. stay focused, and stay awesome.